What's up? It is 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to Cannabis Legalization News, where we explain marijuana laws so you can change them. Today, the big story is Connecticut, not Vermont. We were talking about Vermont earlier, but Connecticut is going to vote on legalization tonight. What do you guys think is going to happen? They're debating right now. How you feeling about it?
Oh, I bet that it's going to pass.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Most things have been leaning towards that. Is it for legalization or recreational or medical?
Rec.
Oh,
it's on rec, and then we could actually go straight to it. I mean, do we have because are they literally debating right now? We might be able to see some really boss, outdated, totally reefer madness crap. You know,
Yeah, let me see if I can bring it up real quick.
Oh, the children. Let's see if we can say, think about the children. Now, hey, Miggy, right. Why don't you tell everybody why you're so tan?
Oh yeah, man, Mexico was great. Went to Cabo. Here we go. But yeah, no, dude. Matter of fact, about Mexico, there's so much to learn. For Prohibition, the fact that I can go to a pharmacy in Mexico and buy like I don't know Valium and Vicodin, without a prescription, opposed to the states where you need one. Mm-hmm. But yet they have the shittiest weed. Like
they did. But you were able to come on the show. It was an international episode because you were in Cabo, and then you were able to give us the strain of the day, which was swag.
But it just seems to me, in a world where I can get fucking Vicodin over the counter, I should be able to get weed, like good, decent. If it was treated and grown properly. I mean, why? It's like an effect of Prohibition, right? Like, why is the United States is so controlling? Like when Laura was talking about Vermont earlier, it's because I shared an article about how Vermont legalized a drug that is actually for the opioid, like anti-opioid, like to help with the disease.
Right.
And the fact that a state has to legalize something that helps a condition that's bad, like a addiction, it just shows you that Prohibition is not here to make it better. Prohibition is not here to make things correct. It's just there to limit and control.
Yep.
That's what it seems like. It's just, why is marijuana illegal? Why can I get like stuff like where you see a commercial and disclaimer says it may cause hard breathing, lung collapse, and internal bleeding. But
they always have great names like Trulicity or Abilify or like what's any name of drugs. That has to be a pretty cool job to have. It's like, what do you do? I name drugs. Oh, so like this drug is good for your colon, and then okay, we're going to call that Cologuard. Oh wow, you're good at your job. But another thing that Connecticut is doing is they're saying the same thing that every state says when they pass the law, that theirs is going to be the model for the United States.
Oh yeah.
So Connecticut Governor brags on his stuff, saying that it's going to be the model for the United States as their House prepares to vote. Connecticut Democratic legislative leaders said they remain confident that a marijuana legalization bill that cleared the Senate early Tuesday morning will advance through the House and get to the governor before the end of the session.
Wow.
Yep.
Some of the key details, though, include adults 21 and older can possess up to 1.5 ounces of cannabis starting on July 1st, and it will establish a retail market with Rojos anticipating sales to launch in May 22.
Retail sales coming for May 2022. Regulators for the Department of Consumer Protection would be responsible for issuing license to growers, retailers, manufacturers, and delivery services.
Hey, social equity. We got social equity applicants defined as people who lived in the geographic areas disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs and who make no more than 3 times the state's median income would be entitled to half of those licenses. So now we're doing financial restrictions.
That's right. It's this is one of the things in cannabis. And hey, guys, thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel, because on Sunday we have the ArcView group on. We already talked to them. So if you're wondering about how a social equity applicant like yourself can get some funding, tune into that one, as the legalization of cannabis is turning into essentially being the legalization of cannabis licenses for people that are social equity, which seems strange because they're opening the door only to these people that have social equity, and then they have like income limits on it. It's like, well, you can get a cannabis license, but you're too poor to actually do it. and so like now you actually need to go, it's gonna gum up the system, because now you have to have somebody who has money give you money so that you can get your cannabis license opened. What's interesting?
Well, each of these monopolies are going to be enabled until we get a federal policy, right? Until McCon or the guy Nadler, whatever, the guy from New York, Schumer.
Oh, Nadler's. They're both from New York. One's just in the House and one's in the Senate. Schumer's in the Senate. Yeah.
But again, until we get a federal something, none of this means shit. Like it's still monopoly in small states, and that's what this game is going to be for a while, right? Like the game of illegalization, state by state, is a domino of just MSOs.
Yes, multi-state operators.
Hey man, I had a week of margaritas and sun. Gotta give me a minute.
You do look like you got all of the sun, all of that Mexican sun.
I tried to take it all in. By the way, dude, what was another crazy thing about Mexico? I think I told you is some states, because Mexico is divided into states like the United States, right? The different areas, but not all the states in Mexico. But during an election time, which happened this past weekend when I was there, some states stopped selling alcohol. I was like, they want you to have a sober mind to make your decision, which I thought blew my mind. Like, would that happen in the United States? Would we be able to say, hey, we as a people need to get our shit together and say, take this day off? Dude, we got lost.
To take the day off, I think, is a good thing. But like our nation's history has a storied past of George Washington buying gallons of liquor for his supporters. And like, hey, why'd you vote for that guy? He got me drunk. That's a thing in American history. Now,
it is.
This is something I want to know about Mexico. Was weed legal yet?
So it's small possessions, everything, but not the infrastructure, not the market, not it's still going to be a traditional market for the longest time.
That's the thing, because Mexico's been saying that they're going to legalize weed for as long as we've been doing the podcast, and they still haven't.
Right.
Now, let's go back to the Connecticut bill, the summary of that. Significant amounts of tax revenue from cannabis sales will go toward community reinvestment, which is great because there's going to be a lot of tax dollars. And that's really one of the best ways that they've been able to accomplish social equity so far, is at least putting the money back to where they've heard it on the back end. And then, of course, it's great. They're going to be social equity applicants. We're going to find out all about how to apply. And let's see here. Expungement would apply to possession convictions from January 1, 2000 through September 15th, 2015. Interesting. I'm wondering why that would. And then after July 1st, 2022, individuals can petition to have other cannabis convictions erased, which is great. Now, of course, if you're trying to get the social equity points, first get the proof of your arrest and then get it expunged. Take the proof first.
Well, positive note, home grow's on there. Home cultivation will be permitted first to the medical patients and then later to the adult consumers. Which, I mean, how do you?
Well, you should have it to the medical patients first. The medical patients need that safe access to the cannabis so they can grow it and control their supply and not have to pay an arm and a leg. Because a medical eighth is still $60 here in Illinois. Cheapest I saw it was a $40 sale that they were having, but I'm not sure. I didn't buy any.
If they're allowing home grow though, and they're limiting to that type of structure, I wonder if they're going to actually have an infrastructure of like the seeds and clones, because that'd be the first state that actually has that.
Yep. I don't know. Like I know that you can buy seeds and clones in various states like Colorado or Oklahoma and California, but I have no idea how they're going to be doing it in Connecticut. We have to continue to go through that. I mean, a lot of it's about like the changing of possession laws and local governments. Let's see. Until June 30th, 2024, the number of licensed cannabis retailers cannot exceed 1 per 25,000 residents. After that, state regulators will set a new maximum. I've already done the math on this. It's 120 dispensary licenses that could be coming to the state of Connecticut. And if you want one of them, go follow me on Instagram at Cannabis Industry Lawyer and send me something that says, hey, how do I get one of those? And then we'll work from there.
We got a listener submitted another Connecticut article saying that the Connecticut House Speaker says final vote on legal weed will happen in special session before end of June. So, I mean, I guess it's going to happen 100%. Like, no shit.
Yep.
What's the population in Connecticut?
Connecticut's about 3.5. It's more than 3 million, less than 4. And so it's got about the population of Mississippi, but it's dinky. It's a tiny little state. And so it has to be very densely populated to be a great place to put a dispensary.
Yeah, well, isn't Connecticut one of the older, like the northern states? Like
It's New England. It's one of the original 13 colonies.
yeah, so it's gonna be more progressive. You think? I don't
I
know.
have no idea. But among the other revisions that the Senate made, it deleted a section that would have allowed backers of marijuana producers to obtain cultivation licenses without being subject to the lottery, and clarifies a higher percentage of equity joint ventures from being and clarifies that a higher percentage of equity joint venture owners be from disproportionately impacted area. It also expands equity provisions of the bill so that 100% of the profits with joint ventures with existing businesses go to equity partners rather than 5% in the original bill, and exempts medical marijuana from potency limits that apply to adult use products. Potency limits.
Yay. Well, I like this one, though. The smell of cannabis alone will no longer be a legal basis for a law enforcement stop and search an individual, nor would suspect the possession of up to 5 ounces of marijuana. Nice.
Well, the first provisions or the first applications will be coming this fall in September of 2021, when the existing medical dispensaries can become hybrid retailers and also start serving adult use consumers. However, they are going to have to pay a $1 million fee. So, yikes.
So also rental tenants are getting in students, institutions of higher learning and professionals in licensed occupations would be protected from certain types of discrimination around cannabis use. I think that's great that they're thinking about the people. Mm-hmm. And thanks, Don, for that article that you submitted to us.
Yep. And then stay tuned. We have a wrap up of the entire Connecticut law. I'll do a video on that and post it, just so that when people are searching in like 6 months, when actually something happens and people are getting ready to start doing their cannabis applications in Connecticut, you shouldn't wait 6 months. You should get going now, because real estate's expensive.
Well, it looks like they have a lot of laid out infrastructure, with the regulations and how it's going to be. I think it might be okay. Did it say who's going to be in charge? Are they creating a new board, or is it just going to go straight to the health?
It was going to be the health department. They said those are the people that are going to be in charge. Oh, well, not the health department. The Department of Consumer Protection.
Okay. They're looking out for you.
Yeah, there are. And I'm here from the government, and I'm here to help.
Yeah. And then, it's funny, just like here in Washington State, would be allowed to enter into cannabis-related agreements with tribal governments such as the Shintantic Pequot tribe and the Mohegan tribe of Indians. Because Washington State, they did that. They have an agreement with the tribes here. I just never understood why the tribes waited for the states themselves to legalize. Like, as a sovereign nation, couldn't they just legalize it amongst themselves? I know, like, peyote's used for spiritual use, but again, I guess just pushing boundaries, right? Kind of like how America exported Prohibition so well that we've convinced everybody that marijuana is bad. Like, how?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that nobody's convinced me that marijuana is bad. I can make the exact opposite argument fairly persuasively, in my opinion, but that's only because facts matter, not necessarily in politics. That's one of the things that I really don't like too much about existence, is that anything can be politicized. And also, people will believe lies that fit their narrative in their head rather than facts.
Sure. No, I agree. That's the thing that's been like, so like the whole week in Mexico, right? And I'm still paying attention to American news and seeing what's going on. And as I experiencing the sun, like I got a pretty good position in life, right, dude? I consider myself more of an RF mechanic, right? I'm not an engineer, but I can probably fix it for you if you needed to. Yeah. Whereas I'm down there drinking a margarita, enjoying my day, and all the fishermen and people of actual substance and workers, like for my wife, it was a real vacation because she works in grocery. She deals with the people in general are just a-holes sometimes. But
especially to grocery store workers. I mean, come on,
right? But I mean, the thing is, like, I was thinking, like, what if a zombie apocalypse blackout happened right now? The value of what I do and who I am really wouldn't be much compared to the fishermen, right? Like, right. But right now, I make more money than him because society or whatever. I mean, right. I'm just going off this weird tangent of how, like, just as an imbalance of like BS that we accepted, and it bleeds into the politics, and it bleeds into like the bullshit people who want to stick to one thing. The reason why I brought up the Schumer thing was because unless we end the filibuster, I don't think shit's going to happen.
Then we don't have to end the filibuster. We can just go back to how it was. I just want them to do the filibuster like they did it with Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, where or like Strom Thurmond peeing into like his pants because he has been talking for 24 hours straight. That's it. If you object, great. Have a big conniption fit for as long as you frickin' can, but then vote on the issue. It's stupid that we have this filibuster as it is now, where it's like, oh no, I intend to object. Oh, okay. So nothing gets done because you filibustered it. Well, yes, right. I intend to object. You used to actually have to object and then talk. I mean, at great lengths.
Exactly. I mean, that's the laziest way to go about things. This is why we're not having nice things, is because, like you said, I can just say I intend. And then that means the rest of the room goes, oh shit, there goes our whole day. We all agreed that we're going to sit this one out. Left that. You all need to sit in the same room.
That is right. I tell you what. And hopefully you saw this in our email newsletter. So while we were alive, our email newsletter just went out. If you guys want to sign up for that, you can go over to cannabisindustrylawyer.com and sign up or get in touch with me that way. We also do have cannabis legalization news. The guys at Thunderstorm are working on rebuilding those sites. And so we hopefully are going to be live here pretty soon. And then I know that we'll probably be live sometime this summer when we are going on tour. Miggy and I just saw that we got our shirts. And so Miggy's shirts will probably be on for the next show because he's in Seattle and that's where the shirts were shipped from. Now they're getting shipped over to Illinois. And then I will see you in one of those shirts on June 24th and 25th at the Cannabis Industrial Marketplace. That is cannabisimp.com. Cannabis Industrial Marketplace is a source for growing, selling, and business equipment, from growing media to seeds to packaging to processing to legal services, and all aspects of the cannabis businesses happen at that cannabis industry marketplace. So please do head on over to Cannabis IMP and use our promo code CLB15 for 15% off of your ticket. And so it's Chicago and then Michigan, but instead of Michigan, Miggy and I are going to hang out in Seattle. So we need to hang out in Seattle and make some content. If you have a cannabis license in Seattle or Washington State and you want us on your show, reach out and get in touch with us.
And again, events as the pandemic's wrapping up and as people are getting vaccinated, this is where it's at. People like to meet in person and have handshakes and share cards and have that experience. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
CannaCon's another one too.
Hey, we're giving out show tickets on there too.
Oh, sweet. Oh, on the website?
Yeah, well, we actually, how are we going to give out show tickets, Lauren?
Newsletter.
Okay. Yep, on our newsletter.
On our newsletter. Awesome. Okay. Cool.
What else? So, we got the t-shirts, tour shirts coming up. We already did that.
Yeah, we already did the tour shirts. But let's tell them how they can get one of the t-shirts by joining the channel and becoming a member. If you become a legalizer in chief, and then follow us at Cannabis Industry Lawyer on Instagram and DM us your address, you just have to do that for a month, and that will be. I can't tell. I can see Lauren backstage and saying something, and I wasn't sure if she was talking.
I think she's hot as fuck.
Oh, she's just warm. It is warm in Chicago. Yeah.
Hey, I got something for you real quick, because it is almost 4:20 somewhere, and I took 2 of these with me to Mexico. These pens, and I'm not sure if the tech is available where you're at. Let me. So we experience tech in each state, it's going to be different. This one is a disposable pen, so most pens will screw off and detach with this is the battery section.
Yeah.
No, you just straighten the hell. And then it works. Like this is why it's disposable. I mean, it's obviously not the most eco-friendly, but it's not my place to stop this company. I mean, it's not going to work that way. People like disposable shit. I mean, I wish it was more bio-friendly.
Yeah, how do you even go about recycling that stuff? Because there's a battery in that. There's glass. There's plastic. There's metal. I mean, it is an issue. The vapes. And their waste, and not just vape waste, but cannabis packaging waste in general. A lot of plastic, a lot of single-use plastic. It's not the best thing in the world. I really like it in these light-proof containers. I tell you, this is where I keep my 420 somewhere stash, and it is 420 somewhere. So why don't you fire up that disposable vape there, Miggy? So, did you know that testing people for marijuana impairment based on THC levels is not reliable?
Hold on, shock face.
It's not reliable, according to a federally funded study, probably also trying to find the dangers and harms of THC impairment. However, the Marijuana Moment is reporting that's another bogus piece of science out of the federal government. The amount of THC in a person's system after consuming marijuana is not an accurate predictor of impairment, a federally funded study has determined.
So do you mean all those random UAs don't actually catch people? Like that doesn't catch all the bad guys?
What's a UA?
Urine analysis, but the random ones. That's like a lot of most companies. That's how they live in scare tactics, right? Like,
right.
Let me just hold this over your head because we can do this at any time to control your life,
right? Which I don't support. If somebody's controlling your life, don't let them. But the research was backed by a federal grant from the National Institute of Justice, the NIJ, and it involved 20 people who either ate or vaped cannabis with varying levels of THC.
Nice. They were then tested with a basic field sobriety and cognitive test. While the groups that received doses higher than 5 milligrams of THC were all negatively impacted and experienced observable psychomotor impairment, the RTA international researchers found that THC levels in biofluids were not reliable indicators of marijuana intoxication for the study participants. Right. But again, your body has a cannabinoid system.
Right. But this kind of raises questions about the per se laws that are in place in several states. Like in Illinois, I think is 9 nanograms or nanomilliliters or something like that. We could try to pull up what the standard is in Illinois and then in all these other states where they have this threshold. And if you test over that threshold, they presume impairment.
5 nanograms in Washington State. And then, that's the thing. It's not science fact. It's not based. The big thing, my big issue with the regulation, why does it always have to be like this punishment, this thing? Like if you have over 1 ounce, you're a bad guy. If you have, over 10 plants, you're a bad person. These stupid arbitrary numbers, it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah. It looks like Illinois updated theirs to be 10 nanograms or more. So if there's THC of 5 nanograms or more in the whole blood or 10 nanograms or more in other bodily substances, for example, urine, it shall be presumed that person was under the influence of cannabis. And so that's these per se drugged driving laws. Illinois has one, maybe your state does too. Very often it's at that 5 or 10 nanogram amounts. But this study kind of shows, well, that's stupid. That's not doing anything except for criminalizing people arbitrarily.
That's it. We're creating criminals.
Right.
That's all.
Creating new criminals. That's right.
That's it.
Why are you creating so many darn criminals, people?
But why do we have to punish people for existing?
I don't know, but normal Deputy Director Paul Armentano said these are important findings and they come as no surprise. Despite a handful of states imposing per se THC thresholds as part of their traffic safety laws, there exists no science demonstrating that these arbitrary limits are reliable predictors of either recent cannabis exposure or impairment.
In other words, THC does not lead to impairment, but the concentration of that compound in body fluids does not accurately correlate with the extent to which a person is impaired. Again, it loves the fat in our body. It clings. It's
not toxic, right? Your body is probably also going to then use it when it needs it. If its endocannabinoid system gets out of whack, there's all sorts of reasons why it would just still be in your system.
Well, I just think we still have to tell people there is such thing as endocannabinoid deficient, right. And that's society in general, right?
This is the feds. I mean, this is the National Institute of Justice saying that, if there was negative impact in the sense that people that got more than 5 milligrams of THC experienced observable psychomotor impairment, but they found that the THC levels in the biofluids were not reliable indicators of marijuana intoxication for their study participants.
I want to know what that observable thing was. When they say, hey, you want to go do that? And the guy just slowly looks up and goes, man, eventually.
Perhaps, or maybe it was them moving more slowly or deliberately, or who knows? I mean, we should probably do our own study later.
I've been doing a study for
I'm
still doing my over 20-year study. And
you're doing the long-term research.
Yeah.
What is the long-term research reporting, Miggy?
So far, it doesn't mean shit.
Nah.
But meanwhile, we have a New York prison locked up men for drugs. Now the site will grow marijuana.
What? Okay. This is interesting. A New York prison locked up men for drugs, and now it will become a marijuana farm. Until closing a decade ago, a sprawling state prison in the town of Northwest New York City locked up men convicted of drug crimes and others. And in ironic news, it will now be used to grow the things that people used to be arrested for and then locked up for. It's just total meta usage there.
It's a circle of life, man.
Yeah.
Circle of life.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah.
Warwick aims to turn what was a medium security complex in Orange County into a bustling regional hub for growing and processing cannabis.
That's got to be, I mean, it's got to be thick wall. So it's got to be great and easier to contain the, once you just do another coat, probably inside, it's probably a great grow facility because I would think.
Nothing that's 80 years old is a great grow facility. You would need substantial retrofitting to actually make some high quality flower out of that building.
Well, internally, yeah, but if your outside structure, bone structure, right? If it was all concrete, cement from like the whatever 1800s when it was first made, back when stuff was like.
Yeah, but there's so much electrical and there's so much HVAC and water and power differences by then. Like, I wouldn't want to do a retro. I just want to be like, all right, well, bulldoze it. Why?
Yeah,
because I don't want to be screwing around in that thing.
Yeah, no, I feel you. That's just me like being like all like I like architecture and stuff, but and then meanwhile we got in DC. They're shocked and disappointed by Biden when he moved to uphold the ban on recreational cannabis sales.
What?
So DC elected officials and business owners are voicing their frustration following news that President Biden's proposed budget would continue to prevent the district from legalizing recreational cannabis sales.
And that is a $6 trillion budget plan, but it does not allow for cannabis sales in the states, not the states, the nation's capital of Washington, D.C.
But that's why D.C. should be a state. Because why are these type of stipulations being issued from Congress and government? It shouldn't be up to.
I know why. Because Representative Andy Harris, who's a Republican from Maryland, introduced a budget rider in 2014, and Republicans in Congress have regularly renewed the provision in annual appropriation legislation. And so that budgetary rider in 14 blocked DC from using local tax revenue to launch a regulated market for recreational cannabis. So DC would love to have cannabis licenses, recreational cannabis licenses and sales, but the federal government won't let them do it because they don't have any money to get it done.
So an out-of-state person added a rider to a bill that influenced another location, we can't call them a state, another city's.
It's territory. It's a district of Columbia.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have been that way, right? Like it should have been like the people of the District of Columbia voting for their, which they kind of did.
Yeah, but the Harris rider, as it is known, hopefully it was going to be scrapped this year, and it's not. The Outlaw report is reporting on this, and shout out to them. They're out of Maryland, which is also where this Rep. Andy Harris calls home. So anyway, D.C. officials were also gearing up for the ban to be lifted because D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and Council Chairman Phil Mendelson introduced separate bills previously in D.C. to legalize and regulate commercial cannabis sales.
It's like they don't want success. It's like, why do you hate the future?
Yeah. Why can you not future Representative
Harris?
Andy Harris. Yeah.
Hey, we got a strain today?
Oh, gosh. If we have named that strain, we should play it. It's about 1:30. In Name That Strain news, there's a strain for you to name. For the people that are listening at home, Miggy is back from his sabbatical, and he's just raring to describe to you the details of this nugget. So, Miggy, if you would, please.
Yeah, we got a pretty long cola here. Nice little bud, not cola. Nice Brax. Very tense, very well trimmed. Close,
That's a hand trim. Like you see a machine trim would have just, you see how it's kind of textured, and
Yes.
so like you could see the bud texture as opposed to it just all being shaved at the same like size.
Well, doesn't the machine more of a tumble too? Don't they just like
more of a tumble? And so
Yeah.
it just looks like it's a little bit more compressed. But then, it saves so much time and money. And then it depends on like where the bud is going. But that's a good looking bud.
It's got the dark orange bracts with the light hues of hunter green and I would say like a forest inside. But
All right. Well, should we give them any hints about this? Because like usually we have more viewers. It must be summer vacation because our viewer count is down in only the 118s. Maybe we're just not as good as we used to be.
You know what though, man? I don't know, man. I have faith that people will show up when they need to.
All right. Well, shout out to one of the real OGs of the cannabis strains. There is a haze in this one.
What?
This is a haze plant, but what type of haze? So that is the hint. And now should we do a roll call with the new members? Oh my gosh.
Yes, thank you.
Oh man, we have a whole bunch of new members. Mike Anderson, too. Christina Valette, how do you pronounce that name?
Valdez.
She's a Miggy Next Story supporter. Miggy, what's your next story?
I'm gonna highlight some of the stuff that in the trip. And that's why I brought the pen when I was just smoking just now. Because I did take some clips overseas, over down in Mexico.
Boom.
So, nice.
Shout out to Buzzwick. Amnesia Haze. Amnesia Haze is a famous Cannabis Cup winner. First place in 2004, first place Sativa Cup in 2012, and it's been popularized in the coffee shops of Amsterdam. Amnesia Haze is composed of a cross between staple strain of haze and several different land races, including a Thai, a Hawaiian, and Afghani. The Amnesia land race may actually, it's not the Amnesia land race. Amnesia Haze may actually drive inspiration rather than forgetfulness. The Afghani indica in its genetics makes for a well-balanced, albeit somewhat cerebral high.
Nice. Hey, I'll keep on doing so
roll calls, yeah.
Dude, I'm all over it. I miss you guys. Like there's so much you get caught up on, not only here, but like in the personal work life. When you walk away from work, oh my god, dude, there's so much shit to get caught up on. I didn't realize I did that much shit.
Yeah.
But also thank you to Fred Vidrine, Spooky Girl, Savannah Miranda, Michael Carmona, who's another my Miggy story, Jerry Nix, the Miggy, Montana Entertainment, Brian C., Legalizer in Chief, thank you so much. Vanessa Lopez, aka Basir, or was it Aka? What do you think? I think aka
Basir. Ski Fish the World. Hey, thanks for being a member. Chad Cox.
Andrew Bell. Peace. Have a great day. Robbie P. Roy Moores. Oh, and Mike Anderson today. Thanks, bro.
Right. And so for all of you guys, let's do a quick price check in Trinity Care, Peoria, Illinois. This is my local dispensary where I've been going for years. We wanted to price check the Amnesia Haze, but this is an aspect of how supply is an issue. So Amnesia Haze actually sold out. We can't do a price check on Amnesia Haze, but this is what they got now. They got Gorilla Butter by Arise, and that is $59, an eighth of an ounce. That is a medical price. That'll be $59 out the gate. You don't have to actually pay any more tax on that. Ooh, Mac 1 by Arise. I might want to go get some Mac. But I'm not the biggest fan of Arise because they do aeroponic cultivation. I just don't think they have any flavor.
Dude, you guys' prices though. I just, and again, legalization.
Oh yeah, you want to see? Let's, Lauren, could you go to the concentrate prices? Let's see how much a gram of shatter is going for in Peoria, Illinois. 1 gram of Bedward Grow Crumble. It's 10% off. It's $54. So shout out to Mike Anderson, who gives us a super sticker, man. That was awesome. Chunk Dog Crumble. So that's not bad. $54 for a gram. I've seen it way higher, but it's wax. It's not shatter.
Yeah.
Usually shatter's more expensive.
But still, I mean, this thing that the patients, right? Like that's what got us where we're at. The fact that it's Prop 215, it's medicine, like, and then domino by domino, state by state, a medical program's created.
Yep. But then, like, that's the difference. And so medical programs are created. And so in Illinois, it's a 6.6% state excise tax. but that's for medical. For adult use, you have a 16% cannabis excise tax.
Those are ridiculous prices for patients, though. Like if someone has to consume a lot,
right?
A weekly basis.
2.5 ounces every 2 weeks is your allotment. So like if you wanted to max it out, do you have any idea how much 2.5 ounces every 2 weeks would cost? I mean, like the ounce price retail, you could pay 400, so that'd be 800, and maybe make it 900 for 2.5 ounces, right? So you would do that twice, so it'd be $1,800 a month.
It's still a death sentence for patients because it's just not feasible to when I've seen people in real pain consuming a lot of concentrate. I mean, a lot stuff that would just knock me out and be like, I can't handle. But real people, real ailments consume a lot, and to reach that level of wellness where you're comfortable, those prices are just. I mean, you're looking at thousands a month, thousands for something that takes a seed and time and.
Yeah, but this Mountain Skies guy, I wonder if he's a big fan of aeroponically grown stuff.
I mean, I just because Washington State, we had it with the pure capitalism. Again, the ideal hippy dippy market, and everybody had a chance. I could grow my own and bring it in, but it existed. It happened, man, and it should happen again.
Yeah,
for everybody.
Louisiana lawmakers have voted to end jail time for marijuana use. So that's some good news and epically great news. Louisiana lawmakers vote to end jail time for marijuana use out of the AP on June 7th.
In a demonstration of the changing opinions about marijuana use, Louisiana lawmakers have agreed that people caught with small amounts of pot for recreational use should not go to jail, voting money to send a bill lessening the penalties to the governor's office. Sweet.
Well, we should update the map on Cannabis Industry Lawyer and have Louisiana indicate that it is decrimmed. I wonder how much is decrimmed. So the Senate vote was 20-17, and final passage by Rep. Cedric Glover, a Shreveport Democrat, with the exact number of votes it needed to pass the chamber. All right. The House already had backed the bill in a 68-25 vote.
And that's how you create a new market, because from now on, everybody's been carrying 13 grams on them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is it. This is how you slowly win, just like in Ohio, where they're going county by county and doing the decrim. At least this one's a big shot for the state, and now it's going to be upon the people who, the real outlaws, really take a chance to grow, and hopefully they don't have anybody that, bad neighbors or bad business deals, because
there are going to be bad neighbors and bad business deals. You're living in America. Have you met Americans? Yeah, but like this one it's not a big decrim bill. It's 14 grams. A half ounce would be decrimmed. Right. A misdemeanor carrying a fine of $100, Sometimes wouldn't it be fun though? Like if you saw like that weed that you had from Mexico, if you were caught with that, I think you should be fined $100. Be like, son, what are you doing?
Oh, I hated myself.
Jesus, that is terrible. It looked like one of those. I remember smoking swag 20 years ago, and it would just be like you'd smoke it, and you'd be like, "I can't." You'd smoke as much as you could, but it would just hurt, and it wouldn't get you any higher.
I took one hit, and I didn't smoke no more. But I did spend the time breaking up the seeds, and I took all the seeds and dumped them in my drone bag, and figured, okay, loose seeds probably might not scan like anything, and sure as shit, I got a whole bunch of Mexican seeds that some I'm gonna grow and some I hope to give out.
I don't know, man. It's just interesting that they still have not even decriminalized cannabis in many of the states. And then who's the actual governor, and has the governor signed it? Because like the governor hasn't signed the fix for the cannabis licenses in Illinois yet. The governor's kind of sitting on that one right now. And I think it's just because they want to be ready to go. So there it is. Governor John Bell Edwards, a Democrat, has not taken a public position on the bill.
Well, and I'm sure it'll be signed. But, I just think when you have these low-level limits, when you have a set amount and say, this is my right to have and possess, now you're going to create a traditional market almost, right? Where, say, like in states that do have a real recreational market, have legalized it with their infrastructure of regulation. But in Louisiana, you're going to have the growers going to be your predominant people, but the storefront people, the people, your salesmen, are all going to be walking around carrying 13 grams, because let me tell you how you get weed in Mexico, right? The guy walks by and goes, "You want to buy a hat?" I'm like, "No, but you got weed?" He's all, "Oh, yeah." And that's how you get shit.
Yeah, well, one of the interesting juxtapositions that we can do on this is transitioning to the next story, because one of the people that are doing the pushback, the opponents of this decriminalization bill in Louisiana, say frequent marijuana use can damage the brain. And they argue that the drug is a gateway to substance abuse issues. In cannabis does not damage your brain news. The NFL is now going to start funding marijuana research as federal prohibition adversely impacts studies into opioid alternatives for players. The Marijuana Moment is reporting. This is out of June 8th.
Maybe they just heard about patent 6630507.
Oh, because then it's finally off patent, and now it's land grab time because that patent is expired. We did a show when that patent expired. It was hilarious. Hopefully we tagged that right. But yeah, a commission formed between the NFL and the league's player union plans to award up to $1 million in grants for researchers to investigate the therapeutic potential of marijuana, CBD, and other alternatives for opioids for treating pain. Wait until they realize that it's also a neuroprotectant. And so, that you're going to be out there. And how many concussions do football players get?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, imagine
if concussions were a pie chart, right? What percentage of the pie would go to football players? And if not global concussions, because then we have soccer players that are going to start eating that pie. But then, in this, it's got to be most of them And the fact that they have a neuroprotectant that's out there, like in CBD or THC, that they could also then be using to treat their aches and pains. So, kudos to the NFL for doing that.
Again, we are behind 100 years of research because of racist, non-scientific this whole basis of law. Like if we could just kill the filibuster, we might actually have something come through. I'm telling you, man, I think that's going to be the holdout because right now, all the bullshit going on, it's like the fact that you got people I don't give a fuck about Democrat, Republicans, but let's face it. Have you seen the Borat movie?
Borat? Yeah, I've seen the Borat movies.
You see the newest one?
Yes, the one that was on Amazon with Rudy Giuliani playing with himself.
Yeah, well, you see the two guys that he hanged out with in Washington State?
Oh, yeah, I kind of remember them. I only saw the movie once, and so when it came out, so it's been several months. But yeah, I kind of remember him living with some pretty rural folk. Yeah,
and so they're from Washington State, but they just did a show with just those two guys where they confronted them about hey, how you're not getting injected by the 5G virus, shit like that. And then at the end they meet Hillary Clinton and apparently her horns didn't pop out and she didn't suck their souls out. Just I hate to say it, but those two guys are the representations of the Republicans. You people need to get your shit together and kick McConnell out. I don't, this is where we're not having this whole bipartisan thing. Yeah. Let's stop with this freaking brouhaha. You want to make it a brouhaha and the fucking filibuster, and let's legalize it. That's how it's going to happen.
Seriously, and then it's one of those deals where everything's politicized. Even things we both agree on, they're going to politicize to stop stuff from happening. But then, the Republicans that have been against this, and so in every state in which you've seen immense pushback from, the people in Mississippi or in South Dakota or in Arizona. Very often, in Arizona's was in the 90s, to be fair. But then when the people have voted for something, the legislature, which is usually the Republican legislature, then rolls back all the cannabis legalization that they've done. It's quite frustrating.
My thing is, too, as a single issue voter, rather be Republican, Democrat, I'll just say that I'm a single issue voter, which I think is a multi-level issue because it's justice, it's wellness, it's textiles, right? You legalize cannabis and so much more could happen with just our infrastructure and society and judicial systems. And then reconfiguring out the funding for policing and all the other shit, it would just make our nation better. Yeah. But yet, people want to argue, like you said, they politicize everything, right? The fact that mask became a fucking thing,
masks were political. Yeah, a vaccine. The people that haven't gotten the vaccine yet, that's because they chose not to. And then that's kind of politicized now too. But let's still go back to how great this news is from the NFL. They are going to solicit grant money. So you can get yourself some of that NFL money and not have to get hit in the face or in the head or like sack or tackle anybody, because the NFL is soliciting grants and proposals from investors who have the current capacity to carry out study aimed at supplementing the PMCs. And what does PMC stand for in this? Pain management protocol. What is PMC's knowledge about a pain management and athletic performance in elite football players? But the league is specifically desiring proposals in 3 areas of injury: the effects of cannabinoids on pain, the effects of non-pharmacological treatments in pain in elite football players, and the effects of cannabis or cannabinoids in athletic performance regarding psychomotor, reaction time, cardio, respiration function in elite football players. These proposals are due by July 31st.
And all they're going to find out is the same shit we've been talking about, I've been talking about for 20 years. Cannabis doesn't kill. It fucking makes you better. It's a wellness issue. It's just redundancy right now. You know, the fact that our people's lives are still messed with. The fact that when I was coming back from Mexico, I was more scared about the pen that I took with me from the United States to come back in with. I mean, there's just, our priorities are all messed up. And until we can get this one, I don't think, you know what I mean? That's going to be the next step for us.
Right. Right. And so, like, you know, this is also kind of going in line with how the NFL had already changed its policy so that the players will not be penalized if they test positive for cannabis.
Well, they've already changed that law. Their rule. They're allowed off time consumption now.
Most states. I mean, as a player, why wouldn't you be smoking cannabis instead? Because like, I have gotten drunk and I have gotten high, and if I had to do something as physically demanding as like play football for a living, I would not be getting drunk at all. It's like, no, man, I can't. I gotta go fucking run 40 yards in like less than 4.5 seconds. Why? It's what I get paid to do. You know, you just wouldn't have time to do it, and they would have a safer alternative to use. You know, it'd be good for them. It'd be good for everybody if we.
Well, the NFL has an image problem. They had an image problem 2 years ago. I used to make jokes that the NFL says it's okay to hit Mary, but not Mary Jane. You know what I mean? Like that, when there was more domestic violence in the NFL, they allowed alcohol and all the other drug abuse. But God forbid you smoke a joint and, you know, like Ricky Williams, and just be a good player and call your day done.
Right.
You know, that man never had any controversies except for the weed stuff, as far as I know.
Yep. And that's really interesting that they are going to be exploring and studying and doing research in these. However, all these people are going to be applying for this grant money. They're going to be operating in what? Only the states where it's actually legal to do, and it's not federal money. So the NFL is actually paying to get research done because the feds won't. The only stuff that the feds have been researching for the past 50 years is, well, can we find the harm in this? Can we find the harm in that? Can we find the problem? Like when you tell science what the answer should be, that ain't science, you know?
Well, isn't that what happened with the oil industry, like in the 50s? Where they did all the research about how oil or the cigarette companies,
companies.
Yeah. We do, or just like the police who fucking do all the shootings. We done our research, or we investigated ourselves and found no wrong. I mean, right.
we are going to self-regulate.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't work. But yeah.
I see what it is. The NFL, we were talking about a PMC, the Pain Management Committee. So the NFL's nonprofit, and because the NFL is like, I think the most successful nonprofit in the world, because by terms of success, I mean money, how much it's worth. And so their NFL Pain Management Committee, that is the PMC. And then that was PMC co-chair Dr. Kevin Hill. It was interviewed by the Marijuana Moment regarding the NFL's new grants, whose proposals are due by July 31st.
Right on. Wow.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for Cannabis Legalization News, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with all cannabis legalization news. We'll see you on Sunday.